You have to understand, people who've known you your whole life, who've known you through all the ups and downs, and who have been around you your whole existence, these are the people with the most to say. These are the people with the most chirps. These are the people that say, who do you think you are? What are you trying to do? Don't forget where you came from. You need to be a little more humble. You need to think more realistically. When are you going to get serious about thinking realistic? We've all heard this shit and a million other things. And it always comes from the same people. It comes from the people, and I can tell you this because I have the perspective. It comes from the people who are never going to do a single thing in their entire lives. They are going to sit there, they're going to get fat, they're going to get lazy, they're going to stay broke, they're going to stay miserable, and they're going to try to keep you there as well. Okay, this is crabs in a bucket mentality. If you try to escape, they try to pull you back in, and you have to escape.
The fundamental issue is that life is tragic and difficult, very tragic and difficult for everyone. And it's also tainted by malevolence, because no matter how things are tragic and difficult, but there's always some stupid thing that you could do or someone else could do that could make it even worse than it has to be. And so that's life. And you need an antidote to that, because that can embitter you. Constant contact with that. Just the tragedy, but the tragedy combined with betrayal and malevolence, that makes it even worse, especially if it's self-induced. Okay, so you need something to set against that so you don't get bitter and resentful. Well, what do you set against that? Doing something worthwhile, by your own definition, say. You need some reason to get the hell out of bed on a terrible day because you've got something good to do. Well, what's the best thing you can do? Transcend your current wretched and miserable self. There's meaning to be found in that, and and that's a meaning that's associated with responsibility. Life is hard. It's tainted by malevolence and betrayal. That can make you bitter. You need a meaning to offset that. Where's the meaning to be found? Not in rights, not in impulsive pleasure, but in responsibility.
And let me tell you something else. The comfort zone is dangerous. When you're comfortable, you are at most danger. The comfort zone is somewhere you should never feel comfortable. You should be happy and dissatisfied. Anybody ever tell you, hey, look, you know what? Just be satisfied with what you got. Don't believe them. Get them away from you. You should never be satisfied with what you got, because the attempt to get more makes you into something better all the time. Don't let anybody tell you, hey, man, you should just be happy with. No, you should double your business, triple it.
My goal was just to not be broke. In the spirit of just being completely open, I used to tell myself specifically, I cannot be fucking broke. Like, that to me was, and I think because I struggled a lot growing up, and I saw how hard my dad was working his ass off. We traveled all around. We were able to pay rent, live a pretty good life. I saw what the end of the road was, and that was being evicted and not having any money, and him and my mom like scrapping. And so for me, it was, I cannot be broke. I don't want that for them, and I don't want that for my family.
If I could go back, I'd tell younger me, you're going to do some pretty great things, but you do not need to be great. All you have to do is be yourself. That will always be enough.
I think I always felt like I wanted to be good at everything I did and be great at what I did. And I never expected to be as good as I was. So it would just be such an interesting relief to be able to give myself, to be like, you are going to be great. You're going to have all these things that you want. But you're also going to realize that they're not as important as you think they are. You're going to come to the realization where the relationships and your values and everything that you enjoy and the experiences, everything, aren't going to come down to those spectacular moments on stage at the Olympia. They're going to be much more simpler than that. They're just going to be those moments where you're being yourself.
If you think about, like, people understand video games. So it's like, if you're playing a video game and the way to win the game was to make the most successful character, right? You would have probably a really character-driven human being in terms of, like, they'd be patient, they'd be hardworking. Like, you think about all these traits that they would have, right? They'd probably be tough emotionally, like, etc. All right, cool. That's the character. And that's the person who's going to be really successful. We can all probably agree on that. Okay, how do you create someone who's patient? How do you create someone who's tough? How do you create someone who, right? So all of a sudden, if we had to then engineer the game in order to boost those points, we'd have to get them beat up a lot so that they could get tough. We'd have to make them wait a long time so they could become patient.
That's right.
And so, to the point that you made about, like, these people who become really successful have these traits and also share the fact that they've been through all this shit. It's like, well, they got the trait from the shit, and then the trait was the ultimate output of the experience, and that trait then made them super successful that they didn't have earlier.
Because there's some times where you can change a person. Like, when they're about to do something, you can pump them up.
Right.
You really can. Especially if it's not something that's going to kill them. Like, you just go, listen, You know, you can fucking do, and then just that vote of confidence and just giving them a perspective, just force yourself to do it. Just decide that this is what you're going to do. Don't give yourself an out. Don't give yourself any options. Just do it. And you can do it. I know you can do it, and you'll feel better about yourself. If you quit right now, you're going to feel like a bitch for the rest of your life.
If you try and avoid the fight and avoid being brave, hoping to save yourself and save your skin, you only buy more time. And you buy time in a world that you don't possibly want to live in. And the world and history has taught us that even if you're a coward, even if you agree with the system, even if you do what the Matrix wants, even if you avoid the fight, you still get shot. You just get shot later. So what's the point in getting shot later as a coward when you can get shot first as a man? And I would just try and make it very clear to the world to never be discouraged from making the brave choice and doing what they believe is right, because the consequences for that are worth paying, even if they're death. They're worth paying, because you'll be remembered as a hero, and we're all going to die in the end. Why would you want to die as an insignificant coward when you could die a little bit earlier and be remembered for eternity as a hero who did the right thing? I mean, in the eternity of the human consciousness, what is a few years anyway? Like, what is a few years? You die 10 years earlier as a hero, or you have 10 more years of insignificant coward life, sitting around hiding in your room as a worm to be forgotten forever. Well, then, if you're that kind of person, you truly are a coward. You're really such a pussy. I'd rather die as a hero than live as a coward any day of the week anyway.
So in your brain, when you're feeling that barometric pressure, it's like, I got to get this done or I'm going to fail and this project won't happen and people will laugh at me. You work like a fiend. Energy. Your whole body responds. Your blood gets moving. You accomplish things that would normally take you months. You do it in days because you feel that pressure. You take away that pressure and you don't know what to do. And I've got like 3 years, I could do this or that. Another, you just wander around, you're lost. You have no energy, you have no focus. You know, you're maybe playing video games, maybe you're watching porn. You're kind of distracting yourself in the moment. But your energy is just being dissipated in like 20 different directions. So your brain needs pressure. It needs constant pressure. And stress and pressure is not a bad thing. We have this thing where we feel like stress is bad. It's bad for you. You know, you need to relax, man. You need to chill. Stress will kill you. No, being bored will kill you. Not having anything to do will kill you is much more dangerous than stress.
You don't get what you want. You get what you are. You've got to become what you want. You've got to realize that the minute you hold your mind in harmony with the good you want, then you've already got it. It's only a period of time till it manifests in physical form. You've got it intellectually, and you can talk to somebody about it. You've got it emotionally, you can share your feelings. It's only a period of time till it moves into form. That's called the perpetual transmutation of energy. That is a law, the first law of the universe.
If you're a beginner, you have to separate you feeling something and you acting on that feeling, because you may feel hopeless many, many times, but you need to continue to do the activities that are aligned with your goal. You may feel hungry, but you need to not eat the cookie to stay aligned with your goal. You may feel angry, but know that retaliating at your coworker has no likely positive outcome. You may hate your boss, but undermining them in front of the team may make you feel good in the moment, but again, destroy your long-term career prospects. When I feel something and I have the desire to act on it, you can, at that moment, you have the lowest action threshold, which means that you're the highest likelihood of behaving or doing something is when you have this feeling. And so I want to make as logical of decisions as I possibly can. Hopefully we're all aligned on the fact that logical decisions in general work out better than illogical decisions. And so if we make logical decisions on a regular basis, then we'll have longer term outcomes. If we want to increase the likelihood that our decisions in general are logical, then we want to create space between when we feel and when we do. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you need to act on it. And if you have an idea that you want to act on because of a feeling, if it still feels good in the morning, then do it. But I've never regretted taking time before acting when I was angry. But I sure as hell have regretted almost everything that I've done immediately the moment I felt angry.
I don't care who you are, how much money you have, what you have going on. When you get out of bed every day, life is standing right there to punch you in the mouth. And, you know, you have to overcome all these different struggles in life every day.
Right.
I actually love when adversity is thrown at me and I have to deal with this stuff. And it's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm a little sick and twisted, and I like the conflict every day. I like powering through the challenges that life throws at you every day. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
It's not on everybody else. It's on you. You have to make things happen. Nothing is going to be given to you. You're going to have things, some things, you're going to get lucky sometimes. You can't count on luck. You're going to be given some things. You can't count on being given things. You're going to win a couple easy games along the way. Someone might give you a little bit of money, but no one's going to hand you $1. You can't count on it. No one's going to hand you a dime. No one's going to hand you a job. It's not going to happen. You cannot have any part of your mind that thinks, oh, someone will just do this for me. You cannot have that in your mind. You have to do things yourself. You have to create things. You have to make things happen. You have to do it yourself. No one's going to give it to you. No one is going to give it to you. And this doesn't mean you have to take from someone else. You have to build for yourself. So think through what you are saying. Think through what you are thinking. Stop blaming other people.
We're in control of our own lives. We often don't realize we're in control, but we're in control of our own lives, and we can make different choices. And if the things in our life are not bringing us joy and happiness, if our career that we've devoted all of our lives to isn't bringing us joy, we can change them. If we decide our relationship is not the right relationship, we don't have to suffer in that relationship. We have our own power and we can make a change, and it takes courage. But it's in everyone's best interest for us to take care of ourselves, to be in a relationship or in a job where you're phoning it in because you think it's your responsibility to do the job. There's probably someone who would do that job with passion and bring more to it than you are. And if you feel depressed and you can't manage the life you're in, you can go move to another part of the world. You can live on a beach. You can, there's so many options available to us that we don't, we're stuck in our small story of who we are and what our lives are. It's all a choice, and we have the power to change it. Anything in our lives that doesn't give us joy, we can change.
Where would you be in your life right now if all the plans you ever made for yourself in the past you had executed on without fail? Stop and think about that first. No matter where you are, no matter how old you are, stop and think right now. If I had executed on the plans I made in the past 100% with 100% effectiveness, where would I be currently? And think about that, okay? Because most people would be in a completely different place, living a completely different life. And the reason they aren't in that completely different place, living that complete different life, is because they don't have the ability to adhere to a plan. That is where it's at. It's not that people don't know what to do, it's that they can't fucking do it when they don't feel motivated. So when you think about what skill can you build that will give you an advantage over every single other human on the planet, because I am in a competition with other humans for those placings, and you are, it is discipline and the ability to adhere to a plan.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it.
On your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless.
There's a story in the Bible where Solomon is dreaming. He goes into dream state and God comes to him in dream state. And God says to Solomon, anything that you want, I will give you. If you want wealth, I'll give you wealth. I'll make you the richest man. If you want kingdoms, I'll give you the kingdoms. Tell me whatever it is that you want and I'll give it to you. And Solomon didn't ask for riches, didn't ask for kingdoms. He asked for one thing. He said, give me wisdom. And God gave him wisdom. And after that, the riches came, the kingdoms came, and every other thing that comes with it. So as I read that, I sat there and I was like, God, give me wisdom. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what this means, but give me wisdom and allow me to be a person that makes decisions not out of spontaneity, not out of reactiveness or out of emotion, but out of a state of mind in which I can be wise. And from that, everything else will come. So my relationship with God is now a pursuit of truth and a pursuit of wisdom.
It don't matter how much it feel like it ain't gonna work.
Delusional.
Complete delusion. You gotta believe the delusion because it's only delusional until it works. So is it really delusional? A motherfucker only gonna call it delusion until it don't work for nobody else to see, but for the whole world to see. And then once the world see it, there's nothing delusional about it. Now your delusion becomes, oh, he was a fucking genius. We didn't see it when he saw it. We didn't understand it when he did. We thought this motherfucker was crazy. But he definitely always figured this thing was the thing to do, and he's stuck by that shit.
I'm trying to find my way in the world, you know, I'm trying to be somebody instead of just make money off everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I go down paths that haven't been traveled before, and I usually mess up. But I learn, you know what I'm saying? I come back stronger. You know, I'm not talking ignorant, you know what I'm saying? So I obviously put thought into what I do.